From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of LALATE with a world exclusive on your fourth stimulus check updated 2021 broke last night on LALATE News website. As staffers from congressional offices from both Democratic House members and Senate members tell this viewers of this channel, negotiations are near complete on the inclusion of a stimulus check in the $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill. The terms are the following: that there will be multiple months of checks, current negotiations evolve, and that where the negotiations are right now is they're looking at $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for 6 months as the negotiations still continue. This is a world exclusive, as yet once again the viewers of this channel are about to make history once again, making history from getting a stimulus check in the continuing resolution, the second stimulus check, and now the pushing, the advocacy for viewers of this channel working again. We'll be cutting also to the first 645 pages of that reconciliation budget bill. That is checks for hazard pay, checks for workers, and checks for seniors. Then we'll be cutting to cluster number 2 that has more checks in there as well, including checks for medicine, checks for paid sick leave and family leave, and then checks for seniors like SSI and SSDI. We'll be cutting to the surprise, and as additional $13 billion is coming out to your cities, counties, and states from Treasury, from IRS. But then the big surprise that no one saw coming, that the congressional leaders are near finalizing negotiations on that MSC IRS check. You'll hear all the world exclusives because this is only LALATE, and it starts right now on Mornings. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day across the globe. It's gotten warmer here in Santa Monica, California. I'm alive with you today with a day that follows last night's world exclusive on LALATE news site, the news site of over 2 decades. Broke it as staffers from congressional leaders on both the House and Senate sides confirm that negotiations are near complete on the inclusion of a stimulus check in the $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill among the Democrats. That the Democrats are looking for monthly months of checks, and that the negotiations are not yet complete, but they're currently looking at the following proposed offer: $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for 6 months. This comes after incredible advocacy you're going to see on this channel in less than the last 24 hours. As one viewer picked up the phone and said she cried on the phone with the staffer, saying this would change the life of her and her young children. Another viewer saying, I cried on the phone telling my story about how I lost my husband during the pandemic and how I've tried to provide for my family. In this recording, we'll go over the 645 pages of that reconciliation budget bill. There's checks of all kinds in there, like hazard pay, checks for seniors, checks for workers, a new vehicle, money for $51,000 of MSCs over 18 years. We'll cut to cluster number 2 and cluster number 3, which is the one the president wants in there, that include instant savings. And why, on a world exclusive, I've identified an additional $107 billion that congressional leaders now have access to under this third cluster. And then we'll cut to the big society news as an additional $13 billion coming out to your cities and counties and states from Treasury. And then another world exclusive on which body of Congress is voting first on this legislation. It's a big morning, and it's a big it's a big day. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week, financial news channel in America. Coming up next is Morning's Crypto at 10 o'clock and then noontime at 11 a.m. So subscribe. I want you part of this family. This is the family that's making history day in, day out. A family of love, a family of support, and a family that's getting things done through advocacy. So hit this incredible subscribe button. Tell your friends and family to come on over. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right into the world exclusive broke late last night on LALATE News website. Congressional staffers from both House and Senate Democrats have told viewers of this channel that they're near completion on negotiations of the inclusion of a stimulus check in the fourth stimulus reconciliation budget bill of $3.5 trillion. They are looking at doing multiple months of checks. And while the negotiations are not yet finished, they're currently at about $2,000 a month the first month, $1,000 thereafter monthly for 6 months. This comes after incredible advocacy from viewers of this channel. It started nearly 8 weeks ago, as one viewer, WR, who was in Countdown this morning in the live chat, picked up the phone and advocated to Senator Chris Coons advocating for a stimulus check. And Senator Chris Coons' staffer 8 weeks ago told that viewer that he's doing a monthly stimulus check. It continued 3 weeks ago when Brother Joshua, a longtime viewer in 2020, volunteered to the community page, picked up the phone and advocated for one with Senator Bernie Sanders' staff. And that staff told Brother Joshua Senator Sanders is doing monthly and is looking at $1,000 to $1,400, 3 to 6 months was the term of that conversation, but that he wants to hear the American people have the support. And then the floodgates happened. The floodgates happened as viewers started picking up the phone and calling over and over again, advocating for this stimulus check, saying why my family needs it, why my community needs it. It started with the incredible comments from there he is, Donnie, saying, I need it. This is why my family needs it. My city needs it. I need it to progress. I need it to help. And Bernie Sanders' office told Donnie they're doing a stimulus check. Hurricane Tina advocating to Bernie Sanders' office and being told they're doing it. Carolyn Smith, who was on Countdown to LA 2 mornings ago, our 7 o'clock show, picking up the phone and really advocating well to Sanders' office. I need it. People are losing their homes. They're losing everything they got. We need it. And Sanders' office agreed and said Sanders is putting in a stimulus check. And then Yaya picked up the phone and advocated to Ron Wyden, Senator Ron Wyden's office. And they said they're doing it and may actually go even beyond that, include SS200. Will took us to another level late last week as he picked up the phone and didn't just call one office, he called 3. He called Warren, Schumer, and Sanders. And the Warren conversation is the fascinating one because in that conversation, when he advocated for it, they said, what do you want to advocate for how much? He said, I like the American petition, which is $2,000 a month. Senator Elizabeth Warren's office told Will that Senator Warren is considering $1,400 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. It was Larica's comment, though, that really popped my eyes out, which is when she said she picked up the phone, called Senator Bob Casey's office. They're advocating for a stimulus check in there as well, and also money for seniors and elderly and disabled people. And Casey's office told Larica that they're currently in negotiations on the stimulus checks right now and near conclusion. It was late last week that I said, now pick up the phone and start calling AOC, Omar, and Jayala. Call the House side. And that's what Paul did. And AOC's staff told Paul that AOC will be inserting a provision in the recon for $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000 for 12 months of MSCs. Jayalapal's office confirmed much the same to Janice. By the end of the weekend, Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, and Wyden's senatorial congressional offices separately in separate conversations to separate viewers consistently reported that they are inserting a provision for multiple months of checks in the fourth stimulus reconciliation budget bill. And then AOC's office and Jayalapal's office confirmed the same to viewers of this channel. Late yesterday, the advocacy really stepped up as Margaret said, I was on the phone and the women and I are just crying and going through what I had to go through. I had one comment I had to edit out because it is so personal. I didn't want to reveal too much about the person. But the person reveals that she advocated saying her husband has died. And she's raising her 2 children by herself. And the staffer just cried with her and said, yes, thank you. The big update came from Mark. That's $51,000 Mark, longtime viewer of this channel. He called Pelosi's office, and Pelosi's office confirmed that not only are they doing an MSC, but that the provisions will be $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000, and they're currently negotiating it, and they're near finalizing on the negotiations, and they're looking at up to 12 months. On this morning's Countdown, Lorraine said she called up and advocated for Sanders' office as well. And there you go. The incredible world exclusive delivered late last night on LATE News. And this is what advocacy does, because this is what we do as a family. Let's cut to the next big item, which is the first 645 pages of that reconciliation budget bill. I'll go more over this breaking world exclusive about the MSCs in just a second. The first 645 pages of that reconciliation budget bill have been released, and they're checks for all people. It's the first of three clusters that we know about. Second cluster and third cluster I'm going over in just a second. The first 645 pages have money in there for hazard pay, money for seniors, money for children, $51,000 of MSC, money for college students, money for a bike, a vehicle, and a truck. Let's go over all those details starting right now. It's important to understand when you're looking at the $3.5 trillion recon, to be eligible, you don't have to have anything pandemic related. So these are not pandemic related provisions. The first one, hazard pay. This channel has been the vortex, the only place on the planet with more advocacy for hazard pay than anywhere else. Nearly 300 videos in 2020. And we got it into the third stimulus, a provision that took an old tax code called the Earned Income Tax Credit. They modernized it by expanding the eligibility and increasing the amount. But third stimulus was not lifetime, and so now they're making the provision lifetime under fourth stimulus. So if you continue to work as an essential worker, as a hazard pay individual in a workplace that you fall within the zone of eligibility, then you would qualify for this check every year. Then the big surprise, as Representative Richard Neal surprised us all with a provision no one had heard about. Up to $4,000 a year if you care for the elderly. Huge, especially if you're a care provider. That's up to $4,000 per year. And on the flip side, there is a provision for caring for young children. This is the second big check under this first 645 pages of this reconciliation budget bill. So released. How about checks for students? Yes, they're going to take grants and give them directly to you or to the universities and make the Pell Grant tax-free. What about money to repair your home? Oh boy, it's in there as well. If you're in a low-income community, there's incentives to repair your home. $51,000 of MSCs, it's in there as well. There's a provision that will provide you up to $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks over 18 years. If you're a parent of a young child that was just born and you're in a low-income household, well, every month that household remains a low-income household, you'll get paid up to $300 a month per child per year up to 18 years. And yes, that's $51,000. What about money for a car, a vehicle, a truck, a bike? It's in there as well. If you want to buy a new electric bike for personal use or any use, the federal government will pay up to 15% of the price tag. What about a vehicle for personal use? Yes, if you want to buy a new electric vehicle from the major three auto manufacturers for personal use, the federal government will pay up to $7,500 of refund checks on that. And then if you want to buy a vehicle, electric vehicle for business use, a little bit more. And if you want to buy a truck for business use as electric for the major U.S. auto manufacturers, there'll be a larger provision there as well. And there you go. That's the first 645 pages of the reconciliation budget bill. The whole budget bill is going to be in the thousands of pages. Other clusters we know about. Cluster number 2 and cluster number 3 are among them. I'll be going over them in a second. Cluster number 2 are 12 checks, including incredible checks up to $1,700 a week to stay home from work if something happens. And cluster number 3 are the checks the president wants in there, like prescription medication, cheaper, and free internet. More about those two clusters in a second. But what are these first 645 pages? These first 645 pages are provisions that the Democratic senators and Democratic House members agreed to and said, go write it up. Democratic House members and Democratic senators have been in town. They've been in their office. They've been negotiating. They're not on the House floor. They're not on the Senate floor. They're negotiating the terms and conditions privately behind closed doors. Not on TV, not on C-SPAN, and not on TikTok. Not on TikTok. No. And as they agree to a provision one at a time, they say go write it up. $4,000 a year to care for the elderly? Yeah, go right up. 15% for the bike? I like that. 15%? Yeah, go right up. The first 645 pages are the first 645 pages of checks they agreed to, and they went and wrote it up on the House side. More about cluster number 2's checks in a second, but here's a big surprise. Third stimulus, an additional $13 billion? Yes. An additional $13 billion of third stimulus money for rent, utilities, and food and internet is landing in your cities, counties, and states, whether it's a red or blue state. Treasury made the major announcement last week. And if you're a member of this channel, which I hope you are, links under the video, I deliver now in the newsletter a link to that Treasury report so you have it for you. This is an additional cash infusion, which is huge. And that statement made by Treasury thanked Americans for waiting. Treasury is happy to provide the state and local government programs with additional resources to support Americans in need of rental assistance. The other big surprise is that the nonprofits are now picking up big money for rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage assistance, even homeless shelter and other items. That's coming up later in this video. But let's cut back to some more checks. Let's do cluster number 2. Cluster number 2 are the checks the Democrats are putting in there. They just haven't gone over the final numbers and percentages to get it written in the final bill format. What are cluster number 2 checks? Lots of them, and there's 12 of them, and they're very, very good. The first one is paid family and medical leave. Paid family leave is if you have to stay home because your wife is pregnant. Paid medical leave if you have to stay home because your child broke his leg. How much does that pay? Under third stimulus, it's going to pay up to $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 a year or more. Let's split that in half. $35,000 annual salary, that would be $800 a week. $15,000 annual salary, that would be up to $400 a week. Yes, a lot of money. Check number 2, child care programs checks. Number 3, expanding household tax credits. Number 4, checks for seniors like dental checks, vision checks, hearing care, Medicare eligibility checks. And then weatherization of your home checks. This is the second check about your home. Weatherization, definitely needed, especially the Purple Hawks up above. What is weatherization? For example, let's say you have to repair, you're in an area that is prone for hurricanes or tornadoes or fires. The federal government will provide weatherization checks for that as well. And then come some checks for education, some more checks for education, universal pre-kindergarten and tuition-free community college across the United States. This is huge. Especially for that viewer who says, I don't understand LALATE. He just talks funny. They talk funny in LALATE. Can someone translate him for me? Now you can take the wonderful community college class called What the World is LALATE Saying? 101. Pardon my French. And then finally, more checks for green energy and transportation. Wow, that's incredible. Now, the House and Senate Democrats are back in session. But if you've been a viewer for this channel over the last few months, you know that means nothing to this equation. Because why? They're negotiating behind closed doors. They're not negotiating on the House floor or the Senate floor. And I believe in my reporting, my exclusive reporting again this morning, that you're going to see the remaining provisions of this reconciliation budget bill as early as later this week or early next week. Let's go to cluster number 3, and these are the checks the president has said he wants in there. And I have a big world exclusive about another $107 billion that is now freed up money for you. These checks under the third cluster are incredible, and 2 of them are automatic. Free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, checks for free internet, checks for farmers, checks for green energy, checks for workers like independent contractors, checks for expansion of senior benefits like Medicare expansion, lowering the eligibility age for Medicare, checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing care. Wow. Here's another world exclusive. On Sunday, the Senate parliamentarian ruled one of the provision in this third cluster, which I never say on camera because it doesn't concern you. It's for Department of Judiciary, cannot be included, does not belong in the recon. Well, I went back in my old notes to figure out how much that allocation was for, and it's $107 billion, which means an extra $107 billion has been freed up, and that can now be allocated towards you. 2 of the checks in this third cluster the president loves and I love because they're automatic benefits to your wallet. The first one, let's say you go to the pharmacy and you pay for a prescription on Monday. It's $40, 2 $20 bills out of your wallet. This will become law the next day, for example, and come in and slash the prices between the federal government and the pharmaceutical manufacturers. Then when you go to refill the prescription a month later, instead of taking 2 $20 bills out of your wallet, maybe you take 1 $20 bill out of your wallet. Instant savings. Then another automatic provision is free internet. The federal government is going to give fortunes to city, towns, and states so that they can offer you free internet. All you have to do is say, I'm here. And here is the username and password for the Wi-Fi connection. Wow, incredible, great news. In the second part of this video, we're going to go into depth what the congressional offices have told viewers of this channel exclusively over the last few days, and where the negotiations now are at that final end. This is a world exclusive. You're not hearing anywhere else. You're only hearing it on LALATE News and LALATE at YouTube. It's a world exclusive, and it's happening in the final 15 minutes of this video after the commercial break. We'll be cutting to the nonprofits that have been the big surprise, now paying for viewers' rents, appliances, and more. And I'm going to show you how if you've not gotten the money, you now can. How if you've gotten money, you can get more. And how if you've reached out and they said they're out of money, they'll have money. And then we're going to briefly go over fifth stimulus. It's a big morning with a lot of world exclusives. We're far from over because the toast is toasted and the butter is buttering. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Mornings LALATE continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. We'll be going to the big, exciting details about the incredible details of third stimulus. It's a big morning. The mic is back on, and I'm here, and this is Mornings LALATE. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. Where I want you part of this incredible family. Like the video. I gave away a Bentley when the mic was turned off, by the way. Like the video, subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Coming up next is 10 o'clock is Mornings Crypto live on air. And then 11 a.m. is noontime. I want you part of this incredible family. And let's get to the big surprise that no one saw coming, that additional $13 billion coming from Treasury and the nonprofits stepping up. Boy, there's a big one, and it starts right now. An additional $13 billion has now been allocated by Treasury, going out to the cities, counties, and states for you, for rent, utilities, food, and internet. And this is huge. If you're a Purple Hawk or a member of this channel, it's part of your daily newsletter, the actual announcement. This is big because of the following. Number one, if you've gotten money before, you can get more months. If you've not gotten money, you can get the money now. And if you've gotten money from one source, you can get it from another source. Let's go over all the details starting right now. The money for rent is going bigger and bolder than ever we saw before. People were getting $20,000 a month for $20,000 for rent a month ago, but now they're sitting on top of nearly $40,000. Late last week, Jen got $40,000 for rent, showing us the incredible growth that numbers are happening across the board. A month ago, it looked like this. At Nisi at 20,000, Purple Hawk, wonderful viewer. Elizabeth, wonderful viewers as well. Purple Hawk getting 27,000, but now, late last week, Jen 40,000. Mark, longtime viewer of this channel. His brother-in-law getting $15,000 of utilities late last week. That number has now grown from $5,000 to $15,000. And then Snap growing astronomically from $5,000 to upwards of $20,000 for Mark's brother-in-law. I'm going to go over all those details right now, so get a pen, paper, and cell phone ready, and let's get to it. First, I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. Reach out to all 6. They have different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. They also have their own pot of money. Second, listen to the keywords I say in this video. And third, I have a surprise for you with additional sources of money now available. All right, here are the 6 places you reach out to. Your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, and your state housing authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. There you go. Let's go over the 6 places again. Your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, and your state housing authority. Now, this is what's important, is that if you have reached out to these places before, and they said they are out of money, reach out to them again. It's going to be very, very quick. So you want to call them up right today, and especially if you're a Purple Hawk, open that last night's newsletter. You'll see the Treasury announcement. Call them up and say, I want to get on the waiting list. If they don't have the money yet, then say, can I call you tomorrow? It reminds me of Kevin Lee, a longtime viewer of this channel from 2020. He got money in Dallas in the middle of the pandemic, April last year. The money he applied on one day, within 3 days, it was gone. So it's first come, first serve. Next, utilities. I want you to reach out to all utility companies. So if you have 5, reach out to all 5 utility companies. Remember, utility assistance because of COVID. And then finally, the nonprofits. Wow. The nonprofits are doing God's work. Remember, they have different eligibility. You don't have to necessarily be behind on rent. They do other things like money for homelessness, money for appliances, food. They do different things across the board. Here are the 5 nonprofits. Each is different how they do things. United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. I list them also daily in the newsletter for members. It's important to understand that the nonprofits were detailed extensively on this channel in 2020 and early 2021 in a popular show called Purple. And at that time, I didn't know if they were still paying in the month of September of this year. So I brought them back in the mix, and instantly, overnight, one viewer said, LALATE, United Way, I reached out to them within 24 hours of your video, and I got on their list. They say, I'm going to get approved for rent. They said, no one's calling. Another viewer said the same thing. Another viewer with another nonprofit said she's getting a new furnace, a new refrigerator, and her window fixed. Lastly, if you're wanting holiday gifts, call up Salvation Army because they start to do those in about September, October. Here again are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. Let's turn to some money for SNAP. SNAP is a fortune. It raises your benefits up a lifetime in just a few days. Mark's brother-in-law is sitting on $21,000 a year, but now we'll be getting $26,000. What happened? Department of Agriculture is raising everyone's benefits up an average of 25% lifetime automatically starting October. This, however, has caused a little bit of confusion for some people because first they've gotten a letter saying their benefits are being decreased. That's because the 2 executive order program that lifted you up, that's ending. So they're telling you that one's ending. There's going to be another letter that says your benefits are lifting up thereafter. And how about those unemployment benefits? 2 of them. First, the refund check back from your state to overpayment of unemployment benefits. It's coming by direct deposit automatically. Reach out to your state. Average payment is $2,000 to $5,000. This is the one due to computer error. And then the federal refund check due to payment on that 2020 return of the unemployment benefits. That check is anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. A check is landing. You can track it at IRS. If you're in the live chat, post your success stories that you've gotten for rent, utilities, or food, or internet because you inspire other people. Finally, if you've not become a Purple Hawk, what are you doing? Purple Hawks are delivered daily from me to them, a breakdown of all the big money under first, second, and third stimulus. Mark, $51,000. Johnny, $80,000. Lorraine, $100,000. Jen, last Thursday, $40,000 of rent. These are common circumstances. And with the new cash infusion, there's a lot of money for you to get. I want you to get all this money, and I detail it in the daily newsletter to viewers across the board. And as soon as fourth stimulus becomes law, there's going to be a lot of checks in there for you to get as well. That will be detailed as well. So consider becoming a member today. And with that, we go into the final 15 minutes of this video, starting right now with the world exclusive. And we start with going back 8 weeks ago. It started 8 weeks ago when some people wanted just to be naysayers. And I said, advocate. Pick up the phone and advocate. And WR, who was on countdowns this morning, really heard me clearly. He picked up the phone and advocated. I need a stimulus check for my family, for my community, for my neighborhood. And called Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's oldest confidant. And that was the first senator to confirm to viewers of this channel he's putting a monthly stimulus check in there. Staffer to Chris Coons told WR nearly 8 weeks ago, yes, thank you for your advocacy. He's putting a monthly stimulus check in there. In the weeks that followed, I told viewers that we have a House Budget Committee and a Senate Budget Committee. The 645 pages released so far written by the House Budget Committee. But there's also Senate Budget Committee, and that budget chairman is Bernie Sanders. He's the guy, as viewers were told by me in the month of July, got you the $3.5 trillion price tag. He's very important in the equation. So 3 weeks ago, Bernie Sanders said a pivotal quote to broadcast media. He said, unlike prior Senate budget chairman, I like to get out amongst the people when writing a budget bill. I said that's key, and that means, if you listen carefully, he wants to hear from you advocating for what you want. I said pick up the phone and advocate. Advocate for that stimulus check. Advocate for whatever you want. And Margaret did, Lynn Glenn did, and brother Joshua, who is in the live chat on Morning's Countdown this morning as well. There's a lot of people in that show. He picked up the phone and advocated to Bernie Sanders' staff nearly 3 weeks ago. Now let's go over what advocacy for stimulus is, and you're going to see a new face for advocacy today in this recording. Advocacy is picking up the phone and saying, I need it because. I need a stimulus check because this was going on in my family. This is what happened to my daughter, my son, my aunt, my uncle. This was happening in my church. I need it for my church. My community, the businesses didn't reopen. We're suffering strongly. The town, the county is really hurting. This is why I need a stimulus check. These Democrats were elected to advocate for you. And when you pick up the phone and advocate with them, it's a match made in heaven. Advocacy has been the core of this channel since 2020. And overnight, we saw advocacy take it to another level. Let's take a look. Here's Margaret. She said, I made a lot of calls today. This is late yesterday. I made a lot of calls yesterday about stimulus and SSI. I honestly, and the woman on the phone started crying as I explained everything my girls have been through. Margaret really advocated, and you have to thank people like Margaret, who are salt of the earth, for picking up the phone and advocating. This other viewer, I don't want to reveal her identity because it is a very personal message to her, a personal message, but she picked up the phone and explained her husband has passed because the pandemic has passed, that she's raising her 2 children by herself. She just had 10 surgeries. The staffer on the phone cried with her and appreciated her advocacy. This is what advocacy looks like. That is the true core of advocacy. And that's what Brother Joshua did. He was on the live chat on Countdown this morning. He's a 2020 volunteer at the community page. Helped a lot of you get money in the thick of the pandemic. He's a Purple Hawk and also a viewer of this channel. He picked up the phone and advocated to Bernie Sanders' office. Said, I need a stimulus check. I need it for my church and my family. And Bernie Sanders' staffer said, yes. Thank you for your advocacy. Bernie Sanders will be putting a monthly stimulus check in there, said the staffer. The staffer said $1,000 to $1,400 was what Sanders was considering, 3 to 6 months, but needs to hear your support. And that opened the floodgate. At that point, viewers started picking up the phone and calling. It started with Donnie, who really got the ball rolling thereafter. Viewers saw Donnie's incredible, impassioned advocacy. And this is what Donnie wrote. Donnie picked up the phone and called Sanders and says, I need it. This is why I need it. My city needs it. I need it to progress. I need it for my water. I need it for everything. And Sanders' office said, yes, he's doing a 4th stimulus check. Hurricane Tina picked up the phone as well. I called Bernie Sanders' office and said they're putting a 4th stimulus check in there. Then Carolyn Smith on Countdown LALATE picked up the phone and said, hey, we need help out here. People are losing their homes. They're losing what they got. Bernie's staff agreed and said Bernie is also putting a stimulus check in there. And Yaya picked up the phone and called Senator Ron Wyden, who previously wrote in writing that he wants an MSC in there. His staff said not only that he wants to do an MSC, but that he wants to include SS200. Will, by the end of last week, however, took us to another level. Will showed us don't just call one office, call multiple offices. I called Bernie. I called Chuck. I called Schumer. And I kept on calling. Yes, I spent the yesterday calling Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Chuck Schumer's Senate offices. And all 3 of their secretaries confirmed an MSC. I explained my situation, how a 4th stimulus check would be a huge impact. There's Will advocating. And I was told, yes, it's happening. Here comes the fascinating update about Elizabeth Warren's office. Senator Elizabeth Warren's office asked me what kind of check I think would be sufficient. I explained I like the American petition, which, by the way, is $2,000 a month. And Senator Warren's office said they are on board with that. And they said Senator Elizabeth Warren is considering $1,400 to $2,000 6 to 12 months. Lorica is the message that sort of woke up the situation, because she called Senator Bob Casey. And Senator Bob Casey, she said he's on the Committee for Aging and is pushing for a lot of money for elderly and disabled. And yes, he's putting a stimulus check in there. But moreover, Lorica said they are in negotiations now to finalize the amount of the stimulus check. That's not only the only senator whose staff confirms that to viewers of this channel exclusively. Then, by the weekend, by the end of the week, I said, okay, we have the senators advocating for this MSC. We have Warren, Schumer, Sanders, Coons, Casey, and Wyden. I said, pick up the phone and now go over to the House side. AOC, Omar, and Jayalapal. Pick up the phone and advocate on the House side, because the House side is the authors of the fourth stimulus recon. And then viewers started doing that as well. Paul did that late last week and picked up the phone and called AOC's office. And he told her told the staffer at AOC's office why he needs a stimulus check. And AOC staffer told Paul that AOC wants it to be $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter, for 12 months. The staffer confirmed to Paul that AOC will be adding it to the recon bill. Then came Janice, who picked up the phone and called Jayalapal, Representative Jayalapal's office, and they said, yes, they're doing a fourth stimulus check in there as well. By that point, we had AOC and Jayalapal joining Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, and Casey and Wyden. But then late yesterday came the comment in from Mark. That's $51,000 Mark. That also helped his brother and neighbor and brother-in-law. Mark called Senator Pelosi's office yesterday, spoke to her secretary, and explained why he needs a fourth stimulus check and why it's important for him and his family. And House Speaker Pelosi's staffer told Mark there will be a fourth in the amount of $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter, for 6 to 12 months, and they're almost done negotiating it. The world exclusive you're only going to hear on LALATE broke last night on the LALATE news site, which has been around for nearly 2 decades, broke last night that negotiations are near complete on the inclusion of a fourth stimulus check in the the $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill, confirms countless staffers from different congressional leaders to multiple viewers of this channel. Those staffers have also told viewers of this channel that there will be multiple months of checks. And those congressional staffers tell LALATE viewers exclusively that their current negotiations are around the following provisions. Potentially $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for potentially 6 months. And that's a world exclusive you're only hearing on LALATE. But I got some more world exclusives, and it goes to which side votes first. It was 3 or 4 months ago that I told you that the House Democrats are likely to be the authors of the recon bill. We now know that reporting was correct, because the first 645 pages written by the recons is written by the House Democrats. But which side votes first? I've been reporting for 2 months, and I'm staying with my reporting today exclusively that I believe that the House Democrats will vote first on the legislation written by House Democrats. This is huge for 2 beneficial reasons for you. Number 1, if Jayalapal, AOC, Pelosi, and Omar do exactly what they indicate they're going to be doing, then the recon will be drafted much to the pleasure of what needs to be done before it lands in the Senate. That is really good news. Now, let's say it is not written correctly and it goes to the Senate. It is great to have the Senate last voting because we have Schumer, Sanders, Warren, Wyden, Coons, and Casey all saying they're doing an MSC and they're putting it in the recon. There would be a 2-day vote-a-rama if the Senate votes last. That 2-day vote-a-rama gives the opportunity for the Senate Democrats to add stuff in there. Remember, Senate Democrats won't remove something from another Democrat. They'll add something in there or beef a number up. Really incredible. Let's cut over briefly to fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, and SSA. They're likely to get this done by about November, December. This would be after fourth stimulus. First, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. The new benchmark will be inflation, but maybe as high as 5%. If that's as high that way, then that would raise your benefits up an additional 5%, not just next year, but lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. They're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can have more than $3,000 in hand, remove the income cap, and remove the marriage penalty. And love is going to win. And there you go. A lot of details in one video, and I appreciate all your incredible patronage. This is what advocacy gets for you. Advocacy starts right here by picking up the phone and saying, I need it because. Thank you for that wonderful viewer, Margaret, who poured her heart out on the phone to one staffer. Thank you for that other viewer who poured her heart out about her husband, about her children, about her surgeries, advocating for a stimulus check. That is what the face of advocacy looks like. In fall of 2020, this channel made history by getting a second stimulus check for the American people. The idea, mine, of CR for stimulus. No one was going to give you a stimulus check. I came up with the idea of insertion of a CR stimulus check in a continuing resolution budget bill. It got out. That was the $600 second stimulus check. Now you should be proud of yourself because your pushing has gotten these Democrats to take notice. They are in their offices on the phone, and it's much like the following, potentially. Democrats talk among themselves. They're going over the other provisions of the bill, which could be released as early as later this week. And as they talk amongst themselves, they're certainly talking about what they've heard from you. Liz, this is Chuck. Have you gotten those phone calls? I've been getting those phone calls. Bernie says he's getting these phone calls all the time. People really advocating for a stimulus check. I resonate well. Remember, they don't know potentially your town, may never have seen your town, certainly never saw your face, but they can feel your emotion. They're elected to advocate for you. And when you're advocating for them, that's what they are there for to do for you. So pick up that phone and advocate and say, this is what I need. This is what my family needs. This is what my community needs. It will make a big difference for you, for me and my family, my church, my business, my daughters, as that one viewer said. And with that, thank you for all the incredible love and support. I'll see you next on Mornings Crypto, which starts in just 3 minutes after this, and then I'm back at noontime at 11 a.m. Thank you, Purple Patrol, for your great work, and keep that love going. Stay informed, stay focused, and subscribe. 400,000 subscribers is a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. I want you part of this incredible family because the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and I'm next back with you with Mornings Crypto.